Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm delighted to be joined today by Bob Grosz, President and CEO of WorldVue. At the International Luxury Hotel Association's conference in December, Bob will be giving a keynote on Measure What Matters, why human connection is your greatest amenity. As technology, automation, and AI continue to reshape hospitality, this session explores a timely question: what creates lasting guest loyalty, and how do we measure the human moments that make hospitality truly memorable? So, Bob, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about AI and automation. It's everywhere. So why is human connection becoming even more important in luxury hospitality?
Absolutely. So automation is accelerating efficiency in everything we do, from how we check guests in, how we provide room service, how we automate room maintenance requests. And it's truly having a great impact on our operations. But here's what I've learned is that the more frictionless the operation becomes, the more the moments of the human interaction become really, really important. And so by automating these things, we're allowing humans to actually interface more with humans, which is becoming a very, very important part of hospitality, or it has always been an important part of hospitality. When everything else can be automated, the staff who remembers your name on the repeat visit becomes mission critical and a true differentiator. So I think we're entering an era where we're going to see automation create opportunities for human connection like never before, and thus the luxury hospitality owner and operator will have an opportunity to truly create memorable experiences.
And that's a great perspective, and it leads nicely into the question of how we define success. You'll be talking about OPIs and what hotels are missing when they're focused only on traditional KPIs. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah. OPIs are operational performance indicators. So we have our traditional KPIs, but this is what I've learned in the hospitality space. The KPIs that we typically look at, things like RevPAR and ADR, are true measures of financial success. How is a property asset doing financially? Customer satisfaction scores is a measure of what happens when the guest checks out of a hotel. But what we are truly trying to measure is, neither one of those are truly telling you if you've created a memory for the guests. So neither one, tells you about the staff interaction on the trip. So OPIs came out of a real question. And it was a question that said, what are we actually doing or trying to optimize for? So if we're trying to optimize for loyalty, if we're trying to optimize for the relationship, if we're trying to operate or optimize for a return visit, for example, we need an indicator that tells that. And that's where OPIs came from.
And human connection can be hard to measure. How can hotels start tracking the moments that really matter to guests?
Yeah, so I was walking a few years ago. I was walking a property with the general manager, and the GM of this hotel was very well qualified. The property was beautiful. There was nothing obviously wrong, but the GM said, "I'm missing something. I just can't put my finger on it. What am I missing?" And so we started looking at what the numbers were really saying, and it really came down to what the numbers weren't capturing. That the one thing that jumped out is they were measuring every guest interaction, and it was being logged and tracked and optimized. And it was the process. In the process of doing that, the staff suddenly focused on those measurements, and they stopped improvising. They stopped lingering with the guests. They stopped really building that personal relationship with guests. So, and that was really the trap. It's the moment that you start tracking all these interactions, like how many personal greetings per shift, right? And that the team starts performing connection rather than creating the connection. And so what we did instead is we look for outcome signals, right? Our guests asking for the same team member on repeat visits. That's a metric that we started to measure, because that's a measure of an experience as opposed to just an outcome. And are there connections or comments on the guest survey that go beyond just great stay? Those are signals, and those signals are measurable. So when you share them with your team, you start it starts feeling less like a scorecard for your team, and it feels to the team like it's a proof of what they're really doing really matters. So that's the big difference.
Okay, and ultimately, those are the moments that guests remember. So what do the best hotels do differently when it comes to creating loyalty and memorable experiences?
Yeah, the answer to that is, as opposed to building a consistent product or delivering just really high level amenities, they're focused on delivering a consistent feeling for the guests. So they create an emotional response. The feeling is, things like, this place really sees me. They really understand me, right? So having the softest sheets, the best beds, the fastest Wi-Fi, those things really matter. But it's about whether the guests are feeling truly valued. It's what differentiates those hotels who truly get it. And you don't want to have a guest feel like they've efficiently been processed, because that's what automation does. And oftentimes that's what we talk about, the returns from technology. We want the guests to feel truly valued. So the brands that get this right are the ones that figured out how to leverage technology to create space for their staff members to truly deliver a more human experience and become more human, and thus become more valuable as human beings. So it's not about replacing the human altogether. It's about creating spaces for humans to connect with other humans in more meaningful ways. So the brands they use data to handle to automate, or they use data and automation to handle transactional, and their people to handle relational. So that's the shift that works every time, is when a brand or a hotel focuses on the relationship they have with their guests.
Absolutely. So going back to the conference, what is one key takeaways that attendees will leave with that they can put into practice right away?
Yeah. So I want attendees to leave the conference, and especially my event, with what I'm calling a human moment audit. And it's really a framework with tools that they can take back and use on Monday when they return to their hotel. And it's going to be about how you measure the human experience, how you leverage all your technology and understand all the amazing opportunities to use AI and great networks and all the technology assets that you hear about so much, but to truly measure the human experience. So we'll be unveiling this human moment audit framework, and it will be a real tool set to be able to take back and utilize in real world.
Thanks, Bob. And this is clearly a conversation that goes beyond technology and gets to the heart of what hospitality is all about. So if you'd like to learn more about how to measure and elevate the human side of the guest experience, be sure to join Bob's session, Measure What Matters, Why Human Connection is Your Greatest Amenity, at the conference. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you there.